King Charles II, otherwise known as Knave Chuckles, his wife Camilla Parker Bowles have come to the United States. We should not have invited them at all. In fact, they should be declared persona non grata in the United States. Needless to say, errand boy for corporate America, Donald Trump, has welcomed them with open arms. I thought we fought a revolutionary war in this country. As a matter of fact, we did. Revolutions must count for something. Our founding fathers understood that. They understood that Great Britain stood for the idea that some are better than others, that some are more entitled to rule, that some are more entitled to live a better life. Great Britain stood for the rule of kings and those of noble persuasion. It still does. The Revolutionary War was about putting an end to that. That meaning has been lost over the centuries. The Revolutionary War was not just about separating the colonies from Great Britain, nor was it solely a transfer of power. And we shouldn't let the true meaning just slide by because, it's been 250 years. We need to get over it. The Revolutionary War represented something deeper. And what it represented was the victory of the common man over the ruling class. When the American army defeated Cornwallis at Yorktown, that army sent a startling message. It stated that not only do plebes, that's us, count, but the commoners can often outdo the wealthy elite. Now, this is something to take note of because prior to this event at Yorktown, the peasants were willing to acknowledge the supremacy of their so-called betters. This defeat of the British at Yorktown was the building block of American meritocracy. Given this foundation, America progressed remarkably. In short time, our ancestors began to outpace their European counterparts. And this is what made America truly unique. A person could come to America and make their own way. They were no longer serfs and peasants toiling a lifetime on lands that worked for the benefit of the Lord. Now, this new idea didn't sit well with the ruling elite in Europe, and it certainly didn't sit well with their moles and collaborators here in the United States, especially the royalists who fancied themselves as nobles themselves. And so for the past 250 years, the ruling elite of the world have worked to undo what America is all about, which is that regular people have the inalienable right to advance as far as the sky will permit. Knave Chuckles and the royal family are a central part of that effort to undo the American experiment. Now, many people today think that the King of England is a figurehead. They think of him and his family as an appendix, a vestige of a world gone by. He and his family are seen as harmless targets of public ridicule, slow thinkers dancing aimlessly in a remote corner of the room. To many, they represent a soap opera, a running joke. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. They are actually quite dangerous. The royal family and the peerage of which they stand atop represent the glue that holds criminal corporate Britain together. And criminal corporate Britain has done a lot of damage to the world. I want you to think of the royal family as the eye of a tornado that has fucked over much of the world. The British Empire would not have been possible without the cohesive force of the monarchy. Africa and India and other parts of the world are still reeling from the effects of the British Empire. The British Empire is not dead, not by a long shot. The city of London is the top financial center of the world, even surpassing New York. And that city of London controls people's lives. The British were bigots, pure and simple. But in their misguided desire to engineer the white man's rule over the world, they did a lot of damage to themselves. It's not only the exploited that get damaged under empire, the exploiter gets damaged as well. The people of the United Kingdom today are poor. Yes, the people who live in London are doing well, but the rest of the people in the hinterlands are living in poverty, worse than the people in the four poor states of the United States. And that's saying something. And this will be our fate as well if we continue to embrace the British way of thinking. Now, you would think that the leaders of our country over the past century would have understood that and instead stood up for the people of these exploited nations. You would have thought that given British oppression within our country, we would have opposed the British Empire and everything it stood for. Unfortunately, our country possessed a ruling class which not only did not oppose the efforts of the ruling elite in Britain, but instead collaborated with them. Indeed, they learned and became part of their empire and took us along for the ride. The British Empire did not die. It morphed into a British American Empire. And that is why you have America all over the world exploiting people, fighting wars, and killing millions. Our country is now ruled by corporate America, which makes a lot of money waging war and misery upon other people and other nations. Our leaders exploit other nations. They rob their wealth. That's what we do in Haiti. That's what we do in Central America. That's what we do in Indonesia. That's what we do in Africa. That's what we do in Southeast Asia. We do it all over the world. It's not the American way. Our leaders acquired this nasty habit from the British. In fact, our ruling elite in the United States still work hand in hand with the British. This is one of the reasons why Knave Chuckles is welcomed with open arms by our leaders. Now, why would we regular Americans welcome a man like this? We're nothing like him. We don't look down on other people as commoners. We don't own vast sums of money. We're not billionaires. We're just regular people. So why would we support a president who would embrace a man like this? Isn't Donald Trump supposed to be a man of the people? Doesn't he claim to speak up for regular people? So why is he embracing Knave Chuckles? He does so because he was told to do so by the ruling class. There is a ruling class in this country which controls Donald Trump. This is the same ruling class which controls our nation, and they are in league with the ruling elite in the UK. The American Revolution was betrayed, and it was betrayed by the ruling class, who largely have their headquarters centered around these older, so-called prestigious schools like Harvard University. As I mentioned before, Harvard University and their principal benefactors, those bigoted Boston Brahmins, are as close to royalty as we will get in the United States. Harvard is where future royalist collaborators go to school. From there, they will enter white shoe firms, which are elitist institutions in themselves. They will also enter the higher ranks of corporate America, which continues to commit roughshod upon the people of the world. This is why you should oppose Knave Chuckles' entrance into the United States. Of course, it's not the first time he's been here. Oh no. As Boy Chuckles, he came here in 1986 to give a keynote speech at Harvard University's 350th anniversary. If he lives to 2036 and is in good health, you can bet he'll be back for the 400th anniversary. Why not? Harvard University is a de facto beachhead for British elitism and all the horrors that it represents. It is Harvard as an institution that survives presidents, men, women, wars, calamities, epidemics, financial collapses, and worse. Harvard University is the driving force for serfdom here and abroad. Knave Chuckles is one of Harvard's most ardent supporters and banner carriers. It's a disgrace to embrace this man. It's a spitting in the face of all the people who died in our Revolutionary War. I want you to think about this now, and I'll leave you with just this. I want you to imagine that you are a parent who has lost a son or daughter in a war. How long would you want your child's sacrifice to count for? Would you want your child's sacrifice to count for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? I'm willing to bet that you would want their sacrifice to count for eternity. Well, so did the parents of the people who died in the Revolutionary War, even though it was more than 250 years ago. They were mothers and fathers who lost their sons in a war to fight for something better for the world. They would want their sacrifice to account for eternity. It's a sacrifice worth preserving. And it's not going to wash to say, well, that was 250 years ago, times have changed. You wouldn't want that for your child, and they didn't want that for theirs.